You know what keeps people awake at 3 in the morning? It's not the coffee they had at dinner. It's not the unfinished work sitting on their desk. It's a question that echoes in their mind like a drum that won't stop beating. Has this person really meant for me? And tonight, in the next hour and a half, I'm going to share something with you that will change how you see love forever. Because what if I told you that you already know the answer? What if I told you that your soul has been whispering the truth to you all along, but you've been too afraid to listen? Let me take you back to a moment in my own life. I was sitting in a small tea house in the mountains, watching an elderly couple. They must have been in their 80s. The husband was pouring tea for his wife, and she was adjusting his collar. No words between them. Just this dance of care that seemed to have been choreographed over decades. And I thought to myself, how did they know? How did they know 50, 60 years ago that this was the person they should spend their life with? Was it luck? Was it fate? Or was it something deeper? Something we've forgotten how to see in our modern world of swipes and likes and instant gratification. The truth is, we live in a time of infinite choices and yet infinite confusion. You can order food from 30 different restaurants on your phone right now. You can stream millions of songs. You can connect with billions of people across the world. But somehow, with all this abundance, we've never been more uncertain about love. We've never been more paralyzed by the fear of choosing wrong. We meet someone, we feel something, and immediately our mind starts its interrogation. Is this real? Are they good enough? Am I good enough? What if someone better comes along? What if I'm settling? What if they're not my soulmate? And that word, soulmate, it carries so much weight, doesn't it? We've turned it into this mythical creature that we're hunting for, like some rare Pokemon we need to catch to complete our collection. But let me tell you something that might shock you. The ancient understanding of fateful love, the kind I'm going to share with you tonight, it has nothing to do with finding a perfect person. Nothing at all. I want you to think about water for a moment. Water doesn't fight with the shape of the cup. It doesn't complain that the cup should be wider or taller or made of different material. Water simply takes the shape of whatever contains it. But here's what's beautiful. The water doesn't lose its essence in the process. It's still water. It's still itself. It simply flows, adapts, harmonizes. This is the first secret of fateful love. It's not about finding someone who fits a checklist in your mind. It's about finding someone with whom you can flow, with whom the adaptation feels natural, not forced, not painful, not like you're carving pieces off your soul to fit into their expectations. I had a student once, a young woman named Mai. She came to me in tears. She said, "Teacher, I've been with my boyfriend for 3 years. He's kind, he's successful. Everyone says we're perfect together. But I feel like I'm acting all the time. I feel like I can't be myself. Does that mean he's not the one?" And I asked her a simple question. When you're with him, do you feel like you're becoming more of who you truly are or less? She sat in silence for a long time. Then she said, "Less. I feel smaller." And right there she had her answer. You see, fateful love, the kind that's truly meant for you, it doesn't diminish you. It doesn't require you to become smaller, quieter, less vibrant, less passionate, less of anything. Real love is like sunlight to a plant. In the presence of the right person, you grow. You bloom. You reach toward your fullest potential. And the beautiful paradox is that you do this not by trying to be someone else, but by finally having the safety to be completely yourself. But how do you know? How do you really know if this is happening? Let me give you some signs, not the superficial ones that magazines and websites tell you about, but the deep ones, the ones that come from ancient wisdom about human nature. First sign, and this is crucial, you feel more alive to yourself, not less. Pay attention to this. I mean, really pay attention. When you're around this person, do you notice more details about life? Do colors seem brighter? Do you find yourself laughing more easily? Do Do you feel inspired to create, to try new things, to take on challenges? Or do you feel drained, anxious, constantly walking on eggshells, monitoring everything you say and do? The right person doesn't deplete your life force. They amplify it. It's not that they make you happy. That's too simple. It's that they make you more fully alive. I remember a man I met years ago during my travels. He told me about his wife, who had passed away 5 years earlier. He said, the thing about her was, she made me want to be awake. Before I met her, I was sleepwalking through life. I had a job, I had friends, I had hobbies, but I wasn't really present. Then she came along, and suddenly I wanted to pay attention. I wanted to notice things. The way light came through the window, the taste of food, the sound of rain. She didn't do anything special to make this happen. Her presence just woke me up. That's fateful love. It awakens you. Second sign, and this might surprise you, you fight well together. Now, everyone talks about not fighting as if that's the goal. But let me tell you, any two people who are truly intimate, who are truly being themselves with each other, they will have conflict. They must have conflict. Because you're two different people with two different histories, two different ways of seeing the world. The question isn't whether you fight. The question is how you fight and what happens after. When you fight with someone who's truly meant for you, something interesting happens. Even in the heat of the argument, there's a part of you that remembers you're on the same team. Even when you're angry, you don't want to destroy them. You want to understand them. You want to be understood. And after the fight, you both come back. You both do the work. You both grow. Bad matches, they fight to win. They fight to hurt. They bring up everything from the past. They make threats. They stonewall. They punish with silence. And after the fight, nothing is resolved. Just resentment, layer upon layer, building a wall between two people who once thought they might love each other. I knew a couple, Chen and Li. They used to have spectacular arguments. Their friends would joke about it. But here's what I noticed. After every argument, they were somehow closer. They understood each other better. They had learned something new about each other's fears, each other's needs. They fought, yes, but they fought toward each other, not away from each other. That's the difference. That's everything. Third sign, they see you, really see you. Not the version of you that you present to the world, not the edited highlights, not the carefully curated image. They see your flaws, your fears, your weird habits, your dark moments, your insecurities. And they don't run. More than that, they don't try to fix you like you're broken. They hold space for all of you. There's a story I love about a young monk who fell in love. He was tormented by it because monks are supposed to transcend such attachments. He went to his master and confessed everything. How he couldn't stop thinking about this woman. How he felt desire and longing and all these supposedly base emotions. How he felt like a failure as a spiritual practitioner. And his master said something profound. The problem is not that you have these feelings. The problem is that you're at war with yourself about them. When you stop fighting yourself, when you can be honest about all of who you are, then you'll know if this love is true. Because true love is not about being perfect. It's about being whole, being seen in your wholeness. That's rare. Most people only want to see the good parts. They fall in love with your strengths and then feel betrayed when your weaknesses appear. But someone who's truly meant for you, they're not surprised by your complexity. They're not disappointed that you're human. They knew all along that you were a full person with light and shadow both, and they chose you anyway. Not in spite of who you are, but because of who you are. Fourth sign, time behaves differently. I know this sounds mystical, but pay attention to it. With the wrong person, time drags when you're together and flies when you're apart. You're watching the clock during dinner, counting down until you can leave. But when you're away from them, you feel relief, freedom, like you've been released from something. With the right person, it's reversed. Time disappears when you're together. Hours feel like minutes. You look up and the whole day has passed and you're shocked. But when you're apart, even a short time feels long because you want to share things with them. You see something funny and immediately think, I need to tell them about this. That's the sign. When someone becomes your primary witness to life. I remember my own teacher telling me about his wife. He said, life is more interesting in her company. That's how I knew. Everything is just more interesting when she's there. Not because she's entertaining me. Not because she's doing anything special. Just because her particular consciousness, her particular way of seeing things, it adds a dimension to reality that isn't there when she's absent. 40 years they were together. 40 years. And he told me this when she had been gone for 6 months. Past tense. Life was more interesting in her company. The grief in his voice when he said it, but also the gratitude. The absolute certainty that he had been blessed. Fifth sign, you grow in the same direction. This is different from having the same hobbies or liking the same movies. I'm talking about values, about what you're becoming as people. Are you both committed to growth? Are you both willing to face your demons? Are you both trying to become more conscious, more kind, more awake? Because here's the hard truth that nobody wants to hear. If one person in a relationship is committed to growing and the other is committed to staying exactly as they are, that relationship has an expiration date. It might take years to reach it, but it's there. I watched this happen with a friend. He was constantly reading, learning, going to therapy, working on himself. His partner mocked all of it, called it navel-gazing, called it self-indulgent, refused to look at any of her own patterns. For years, he tried to make it work. He told himself that love was about acceptance. And yes, love is about acceptance, but growth is also about moving forward. And if you're moving forward while your partner is standing still, eventually you'll be in different places entirely. You'll speak different languages. You'll care about different things. You'll be strangers who share a history. The person who's meant for you, they're on a journey too. Maybe not the exact same journey as yours. Maybe they're working on different things. But there's a parallel quality to it. You can both respect and support each other's evolution. You can both celebrate when the other learns something new, changes something old, breaks through a barrier. You're not threatened by each other's growth. You're excited by it. Now, here's where it gets complicated. And I need you to really hear this. Just because someone is capable of being meant for you doesn't mean the timing is right. This is the painful truth about faithful love. Sometimes you meet exactly the right person at exactly the wrong time. They're dealing with something they need to deal with alone. You're not ready. They're not ready. The circumstances are wrong. And no amount of love can force timing to align. I'm going to tell you about something I witnessed that broke my heart and taught me everything. There were two people. I'll call them Jun and Zhao. They met in their 20s. The connection was undeniable. Everyone could see it. They could see it. But Jun had just gotten out of a devastating relationship and wasn't healed. Xiao was about to move abroad for a career opportunity she'd been working toward for years. They tried to make it work anyway because the feeling was so strong. But the timing was wrong. The circumstances were wrong. They were right for each other, but wrong for that moment. And instead of accepting this, they forced it. They tried to build a house in a hurricane, and it fell apart in a way that was brutal for both of them. They didn't just lose the relationship. They lost the friendship. They lost the beautiful thing they had because they couldn't surrender to the reality of timing. Years later, they met again. Both had grown. Both had healed. Both had lived full lives in the interim. And the connection was still there, but now they were ready. Now the circumstances supported them. I saw them at their wedding. There was such maturity in their love, such depth. And Jun said something in his vows that I'll never forget. He said, "Thank you for being wise enough to let me go when I wasn't ready, even though it hurt you." Thank you for loving me enough to give me the space to become someone who could really love you back. So when you're asking yourself if someone is meant for you, you also have to ask, are we meant for each other right now? Because faithful love isn't just about finding the right person. It's about being the right person. It's about readiness. It's about capacity. You can meet your soulmate when you're 20 and destroy each other because neither of you has the tools yet. Or you can meet them at 40, 50, 60 and build something extraordinary because you've both done the work. This brings me to something crucial, the difference between recognition and projection. So many people mistake these two things and it costs them dearly. Recognition is when you meet someone and you sense a depth to them that matches your own depth. You sense possibility. You sense alignment. You sense something real beneath the surface. Projection is when you meet someone and immediately cast them in the role you need them to play in your fantasy. You decide they're going to save you from your loneliness. You decide they're going to complete you. You decide they're going to heal all your childhood wounds. And then you fall in love with your projection, not with the actual human being standing in front of you. How do you tell the difference? Recognition is patient. Recognition says, I want to know who you really are. Projection is impatient. Projection says, I know exactly who you are and you're perfect. Recognition asks questions. Projection makes assumptions. Recognition is curious about difference. Projection feels threatened by anything that doesn't fit the fantasy. If you meet someone and immediately, instantly, you're convinced they're the one, be careful. Real recognition takes time. Not forever, but some time. Time to see them in different contexts. Time to see how they handle stress. Time to see if who they are when they're comfortable matches who they were when they were trying to impress you. I remember a woman who came to me absolutely certain she'd met her soulmate. They'd known each other for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
And she was ready to move to another country for him. I asked her, what's his relationship with his mother like? She didn't know. How does he handle disappointment? She didn't know. What does he do when he's angry? She didn't know. She knew he was handsome, charming, said all the right things, and made her feel alive. But she didn't know him. She was in love with a projection. I tried to suggest she slow down, and she was offended. She felt I didn't believe in their connection. 6 months later, she came back, devastated. Turned out he was exactly the same as her father, against whom she'd been rebelling her entire life. She hadn't recognized her soulmate. She'd recognized an old pattern and mistaken familiarity for fate. Real faithful love is both exhilarating and calm. That's the paradox. There's excitement, yes. Chemistry, yes. But there's also a settledness, a coming home quality. It's not the frantic, obsessive, can't eat, can't sleep feeling that movies tell us is love. That's usually anxiety. That's usually your attachment system going haywire. Real love feels more like safety and adventure at the same time. It feels like you can finally breathe fully and also like you want to run toward life rather than away from it. Let me talk about something that makes people uncomfortable. Chemistry. Because we're told chemistry is everything, right? If there's no instant chemistry, move on. If there are no butterflies, they're not the one. But I've seen something interesting over the years. Chemistry is important, absolutely. But chemistry can mean different things. There's anxiety-based chemistry where your nervous system is activated because this person is unavailable or unpredictable or reminds you of old pain. This feels intense. It feels like love. It's not. It's your body trying to resolve something from your past. Then there's authentic chemistry where your nervous system is activated because there's genuine resonance. This person's energy aligns with yours. This person's presence makes you feel more yourself. How do you tell them apart? Anxiety-based chemistry gets worse over time. The more you know the person, the more anxious you feel. The relationship is full of drama, highs and lows, uncertainty. You're addicted to it, but you're not nourished by it. Authentic chemistry gets better over time. The more you know the person, the more you want them. The relationship is stable but not boring. You're excited by them and comforted by them both. I knew a man who had incredible chemistry with a woman. Couldn't keep their hands off each other. Stayed up all night talking. It felt cosmic. But he was also constantly anxious. When was she going to text? Was she interested in someone else? What did that comment mean? He confused the anxiety with passion. It took him 2 years to realize that what he was feeling wasn't love. It was his abandonment wound being activated over and over. Meanwhile, there was another woman in his life, a friend. The chemistry was quieter, but in her presence, he felt peaceful and energized at once. He felt like himself. He didn't choose her because she didn't give him that addictive high. He regretted it for years. Here's what I want you to understand about faithful love. It's not about fireworks. It's about the fire that keeps burning long after the fireworks have faded. It's about the person you still want to talk to after you've talked for hours. It's about the person whose presence doesn't exhaust you even when you're together constantly. It's about the person who makes ordinary life feel meaningful just because you're sharing it with them. And sometimes, the person who's meant for you, they're not at all who you thought you were looking for. This happens all the time. You have your list, your type, your ideal, and then life sends you someone completely different. And you resist, you say, this isn't what I wanted. They're too tall, they're too short, they're too quiet, they're too loud. They don't match my vision. But maybe the universe knows better than your list. Maybe the person you need is not the person you think you want. There's an old story about a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbor said, "Such bad luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse came back with 3 wild horses. The neighbor said, "Such good luck?" The farmer replied, "Maybe." The farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses and broke his leg. The neighbor said, "Such bad luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, military officers came to draft young men for war, but they passed over the son because of his broken leg. The neighbor said, "Such good luck." And the farmer replied, "Maybe." The point is, we don't always know what's good for us. We don't always know what we need. Sometimes the person who challenges us is better for us than the person who coddles us. Sometimes the person who's different from us is better than the person who's identical. Sometimes the person who we have to grow to love deeply is better than the person we love instantly and shallowly. Be open. Be willing to be surprised. But also, and this is equally important, be discerning. Because not every surprise is a good one. Not every challenge is worth facing. There's a difference between growing pains and in pain that's telling you to get out. How do you know the difference? Growing pains make you bigger. They stretch you, but you can feel yourself expanding to meet them. You can feel yourself becoming more capable. Pain that's telling you to leave, that makes you smaller, that has you shrinking, hiding, losing pieces of yourself. If you're in a relationship where you're constantly walking on eggshells, constantly censoring yourself, constantly afraid, that's not growth, that's trauma. Get out. Trust your body in this. Your mind can lie to you. Your mind can rationalize anything. Your mind can talk itself into staying or leaving based on fear or ego or what other people will think. But your body knows. When you're with this person, do you breathe deeply or shallowly? Do your shoulders relax or tense up? Do you sleep well or do you have insomnia? Do you feel energized or drained? Your body is constantly giving you information. Most people just don't listen. I worked with a woman once who was engaged to a man. On paper, he was perfect, successful, good-looking, said all the right things. Her family loved him. Her friends loved him, but she kept getting sick. Headaches, stomach problems, fatigue. She went to doctors. They found nothing wrong. I suggested she pay attention to when the symptoms appeared. She started tracking it. Every time she was about to see him, her stomach would hurt. Every time they had plans, she'd get a headache. Her body was screaming at her. This isn't right. This isn't safe. This isn't your person. But her mind was saying, don't be ridiculous. He's perfect. You're lucky to have him. Eventually, she listened to her body. She called off the wedding. Everyone thought she was crazy. 6 months later, she found out he'd been cheating on her the entire time. Her body knew. So when you're asking if someone is meant for you, ask your body. Sit quietly. Think about this person. How do you feel? Not what do you think about them. How do you feel in your chest, your gut, your whole system? Expansive or contracted? Light or heavy? Calm or agitated? Your body has wisdom older than your conscious mind. It knows things your thoughts haven't caught up to yet. Now, I want to address something that causes so much suffering. The idea that there's only one person meant for you in the entire world. The one and only. The single soulmate. And if you miss them, you've missed your chance at real love forever. This is nonsense. Romantic nonsense, but still nonsense. There are many people you could build a beautiful life with. Many people you could be compatible with. Many people who could be right for you. The question is not whether this is the only person you could ever love. The question is this a person you want to love? Is this a person you want to build with? Is this a person you want to face life alongside? Some cultures have this concept of growing love rather than finding love. You don't stumble upon a perfect flower in the forest. You plant seeds. You water them. You tend the garden. Some seeds grow, some don't. Some gardens flourish, some struggle. But the gardener isn't passive. The gardener is actively creating the conditions for love to bloom. Western culture has this fairy tale idea that love just happens to you. You'll know when you know. It'll feel right. But Eastern wisdom says love is something you do, not just something you feel. It's a practice. It's a cultivation. This doesn't mean you can force love with the wrong person. You can't make a cactus into a rose no matter how much you water it. But it does mean that with the right person, someone you're genuinely compatible with, love is a choice you make every day. It's the choice to see them generously, the choice to forgive small things, the choice to appreciate rather than criticize, the choice to stay curious rather than making assumptions, the choice to be kind even when you're angry. These choices, made consistently over time, that's what creates fateful love. That's what creates a bond so strong that fate itself seems to have conspired to bring you together. People ask me, what about twin flames? What about karmic relationships? What about all these spiritual concepts? And I tell them these are just maps. They're ways of trying to make sense of the mystery of human connection. Some of them are useful. Some of them are comforting. But don't get so caught up in the map that you forget to look at the territory. The actual relationship in front of you, with its actual challenges and joys, that's what matters. Not whether it fits some cosmic category. I'll tell you what I think a twin flame really is, if such a thing exists. It's not someone who's identical to you. It's not your other half. Someone who reflects back to you both your highest potential and your deepest wounds. They trigger you and heal you. They challenge you and support you. They're like a mirror that shows you exactly what you need to see, even when you don't want to see it. And yes, this kind of connection is intense. Yes, it's transformative, but it's not necessarily meant to last forever. Sometimes twin flames come together to catalyze each other's growth and then separate. Sometimes they stay together and do the hard work of building a real relationship. Neither is better. Neither is wrong. It depends on the people and the circumstances. What I do know is this. The relationship that's truly meant for you is the one where you can be fully human, where you can have bad days and good days, where you can be weak and strong, where you can succeed and fail, where you can be certain and confused. All of it. The relationship that requires you to be perfect, to be always positive, to never have needs, to never make mistakes. That's not fateful love. That's a performance. And performances are exhausting. Let me tell you about an old couple I met. They'd been married 55 years. I asked them the secret. The wife laughed and said, "We're both stubborn. Neither of us wanted to be the one to leave." Then she got serious. She said, "But really, it's because we gave up on the idea of perfect. We let each other be human. Some days I'm the strong one. Some days he is. Some days we're both a mess. And that's fine. We figure it out." The husband nodded. He said, "Young people today, they think love should be easy. They think if it's hard, they're with the wrong person. But anything worthwhile is hard sometimes. Raising children is hard. Building a career is hard. Love is hard. The question is whether it's worth it hard or wasting your life hard. With the right person, it's worth it hard. Worth it hard versus wasting your life hard. What a distinction. Because relationships will all have difficulty. Every single one. There will be misunderstandings. There will be disappointments. There will be times when you annoy each other, times when you hurt each other, times when you wonder if you made a mistake. This is normal. This is part of two separate humans trying to build a shared life. The question is whether, underneath all that, there's something solid. Is there respect? Is there genuine care? Is there commitment to working through things? Is there willingness to repair when harm is done? Is there basic compatibility in values and life vision? If yes, then the hard times are worth it. They make you stronger. If no, if the foundation itself is cracked, then all the hard times are just erosion. They wear you down. They make you less. And you need to have the courage to walk away. Walking away is sometimes the most loving thing you can do. For them and for you. This is hard for people to accept because we're taught that love means staying. That commitment means never giving up, that if you really love someone, you'll fight for the relationship no matter what. But sometimes love means releasing someone who isn't right for you. Sometimes commitment to your own well-being and growth has to come first. Sometimes giving up on a relationship that isn't working is the smartest, bravest thing you can do. I counseled a young man who was in a relationship with someone he cared about deeply. But they wanted completely different lives. She wanted to live in a big city, climb the corporate ladder, have no children. He wanted to live in the countryside, do work that was meaningful over lucrative, have a big family. They loved each other, but their visions were incompatible. He kept thinking, maybe she'll change her mind. Maybe I'll change mine. Maybe love is enough. But love isn't enough when the fundamentals don't align. They were torturing themselves trying to force compatibility that wasn't there. When they finally broke up, it was painful, but necessary. Last I heard, they were both married to other people, living the lives they actually wanted, happy in a way they could never have been together. Sometimes the person who isn't meant for you is someone you love. And that's okay. That's part of the journey. Here's another thing nobody tells you. The person who's meant for you will probably hurt you. Not through malice, not through cruelty, but because they're human and fallible and they'll make mistakes. They'll say the wrong thing at the wrong time. They'll be insensitive when you need sensitivity. They'll be absent when you need presence. They'll trigger your wounds, even accidentally. This will happen. The question is not whether they hurt you. The question is what they do when they realize they've hurt you. Do they get defensive? Do they blame you for being too sensitive? Do they minimize your pain? Or do they listen? Do they apologize? Do they try to understand? Do they make genuine efforts to do better? That's how you know. Not by whether harm happens, because it will, but by how harm is repaired. The couples who last, who build real intimacy, they're not the ones who never fight or never hurt each other. They're the ones who know how to come back together after rupture. They're the ones who can say, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I see how I hurt you. Let me try again. They're the ones who can receive that apology with grace, who can say, I forgive you. I trust you're trying. Let's move forward. This ability to repair, this is the foundation of lasting love, not perfection. Repair. Think about a bone that breaks and heals. Where it heals, it's actually stronger than it was before. Relationship ruptures can be the same way. If you work through them consciously, if you both show up for the repair process, the relationship can emerge stronger. You develop a track record of coming back together. You build trust that even when things get hard, you won't abandon each other. This is incredibly valuable. This is what gets you through the really difficult times that life will inevitably throw at you. Because here's the thing about long-term love. Life will test it. You'll face loss together, illness, financial stress, grief, aging. These things will come. There's no avoiding them. And the person who's truly meant for you is not the person who makes sure you never face hardship. It's the person you want in the foxhole with you when hardship comes. It's the person who doesn't bolt when things get real. It's the person whose hand you want to hold through the dark times. I think about my own parents. My father got very sick when I was young. Years of illness. My mother cared for him through all of it. I watched her grow thin and tired. I watched her sacrifice. And I remember thinking as a child, this is what love is. Not the candlelit dinners. Not the romantic gestures. But this showing up day after day for someone who's suffering. Maintaining tenderness when everything is hard. When my father recovered, their relationship was different. Deeper. There was a quality to the way they looked at each other. We survived that together, that look said. We know what we're capable of now. That's fateful love. It's not about destiny in some abstract sense. It's about who you become together as you face what life brings. It's about whether you make each other better or worse. Whether you bring out each other's wisdom or each other's wounds. Whether together you're more than you are apart. So how do you know? Let me give you the simplest answer. You know because when you imagine your future, they're in it and you're glad. Not obligated, not resigned, not settling, glad. You know because the thought of them being in pain pains you. You want good things for them even when it doesn't benefit you. You know because you'd rather work through problems with them than avoid problems with someone else. You know because they make you want to be better. Not perfect, but better. You know because you trust them with your tender parts. You know because life is just better shared with them than experienced alone. And sometimes you know simply because you decide to know. Because you're both good people who are compatible and committed, and you choose to build a life together. You choose to keep choosing each other. And that choosing, sustained over years, creates a love that feels like fate even though it was built by hands. This is what I want to leave you with tonight. Fateful love is not something that happens to you while you're passive. It's something you create with conscious choice and unconscious alignment both. It's finding someone you're genuinely compatible with and then doing the work. It's being someone who's capable of real intimacy and then finding another person who's capable of it too. It's luck and effort. It's fate and free will. It's mystery and practice. It's all of it at once. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for a sign from the universe. Stop waiting to feel absolutely certain. Life doesn't offer certainty. It offers moments and possibilities and other humans who are just as confused and hopeful as you are. If you find someone who you respect, who respects you, who you enjoy, who makes you want to grow, who shows up for repair, who shares your core values, who you want to face life with, that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. The rest is the daily practice of love, the choosing, the forgiving, the appreciating, the trying, the showing up again and again and again. You'll know this person's meant for you not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Not because you never doubt, but because the doubt passes and the love remains. Not because they complete you, but because they inspire you to become more complete yourself. Not because you can't live without them, but because you don't want to. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And if you haven't found this person yet, be patient with yourself. Be patient with the timing. Keep growing. Keep healing. Keep becoming someone capable of recognizing love when it appears. because it will appear maybe when you're not even looking, maybe in a form you don't expect, maybe with someone you already know, maybe with someone you've yet to meet. Trust the process. Trust your intuition. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be right now, learning exactly what you need to learn to be ready when the moment comes. Thank you.